Hi, I'm Don from Motron Electronics, and in this video today I'm going to show you a very basic setup for our RTS-200C RadioTVsync audio delay device. There's a lot of different uses for this, but the primary one that people buy it for is for delaying audio from their team's sportscaster that does the play-by-play, so that they can sync it up with video from the sporting event that they're watching on TV. If anybody has ever tried to do this, you know that generally the radio is quite a ways ahead of the video that you're seeing on TV. So this gives you a way to delay the audio and sync it up with the TV so they're both aligned, and what he's or she is saying at the time is happening on the field is actually what you're seeing. You're going to need two different devices in order to make this work. You're going to need an audio source, a radio, and you're going to need an amplifier to amplify the line level audio coming out of the delay box. In this example, I'm going to use an old Sony radio that has an earphone jack on it, and we supply 4 different cables with the setup. You're not going to use all 4 of them in any one setup, but it gives you some flexibility in being able to interface to different pieces of equipment. With this, we're going to use a 3.5 millimeter to 3.5 millimeter patch cord. One end is going to go into the earphone jack on the radio. The other end is going to go into the jack on the RTS-200 that's labeled stereo source line in. That's on the outside edge of the box. For the amplifier, for simplicity, I'm going to use an old set of PC speakers. These work great, actually. I use these at home from time to time. Sometimes I'll interface into the sound bar, but that's a different discussion. We'll have a video that will show how to do that. But for this basic setup, we're just going to use these PC speakers. These are really nice because they have a 3.5 millimeter plug on the end of the input cable. Now you can get newer ones, brand new ones. Oftentimes they'll have a USB cord coming out, and you don't want to get those because that won't work with this system. Some of them will have USB and the analog 3.5 millimeter, and that's what you want to get, is make sure it has this cable. I got these at a local electronic recycling store, I think for about $5. You can find them all over the place if you don't have a set, or you can buy a new one, but just make sure it has this cord. And that will plug into the stereo delayed line out jack that's in the center of the box. So now we've got the radio connected to the input, the amplifier connected to the output. When I turn the radio on, notice that the power is not connected yet, but when I turn the radio on, you'll hear the sound coming out of the amplifier, and that's because internally there's a couple of relays in here that when the power is off, they just connect the input to the output. It's wired directly input to output, so you can use your radio and amplifier to listen to regular radio stuff when you're not using it to watch a game. So I'm going to turn this on, and I've got it tuned into a talk radio program right now so we can demonstrate the delay easily enough. And to set this up, you don't need to be watching a sporting event just to get it set up and ready ahead of time. We just do what we're doing right now, and to set it up and test. Now I will plug the power in, and note that when I plug the power in, the display segments will all turn on at the same time for about a second. And that gives us a way, when we're testing, to know that every segment is working fine. And it also gives you a way at home to know that the electronics are working in the box. The display has to be set to 0 in order for that to work. If it's anything else other than 0.00, then that won't happen. But as long as the display is at 0, when you plug the power in, you'll see those segments come on. And that's useful when, after a few years, your battery will need to be replaced in the remote control. And when you turn it on or push the power button, it won't turn on. And you'll know that the electronics, at least in this, are working. You probably just need to replace the battery. Okay, so I'm going to turn this on. Display is at 0. When I turn on the radio, I'm going to turn the volume down on the radio, and note that if you exceed a certain volume level on the radio, it will just start distorting, because you'll go past the level that the delay box will accept. So you don't want to. What I usually do is I'll go above that, hear it distort, and then go back. So now it's distorting, and then back down to where it doesn't distort.
People gather there for essential resources, a connection to culture, and, well, friendship. Jocelyn Formsma says these community hubs.
Okay, I'm going to turn that off for a second so I can hear myself think. Okay, so I'm going to turn this on, and we're going to turn the
building a space for ceremony,
start running the delay up. You hear it stutter as we go up, and you'll hear it, things repeat.
This line, for ceremonial, but for use, so can't fit on my interviews from now.
Today, your neighborhood friendship center is calling.
Okay, just turn that off for right now. I'm going to set the delay back down to 0. That's really basically what you need to set it up: a radio and an amplifier. Now notice that I have a TV here. It's turned off, and there's no connection to the TV. There's a misconception by some that somehow you need to connect it up to the TV. There's no connection made to the TV. We're just listening to the radio, delaying the audio, and then amplifying it. And your TV is muted. You're listening to the play-by-play coming from the radio. There's really no way to inject audio into the TV and have the video on at the same time. There is normally on a TV external auxiliary audio and video jacks, but you have to select auxiliary when you go to those jacks, and when you do that, the video turns off. Those are meant for VCR or camcorders and external recording devices. VCR, I'm dating myself, but it's made for an external DVD player or DVR, some other device that's going to be playing on your TV. So once you set it to auxiliary, your video goes away, and it's really kind of useless to be able to try to connect the output of your RTS-200 into the TV. Couple more things while you're here. If you hold down the F3 key for about 5 seconds, it will give you the current mode. There's several different modes of operation. This one that we ship it from the factory is HS, that's a S like Sierra and not a 5, HS43, which means it's high sampling rate, stereo, and 43-second delay. If you hit the F2 key, now it's lower sampling rate, which is still 24 kilohertz. It's way more than enough that you'll need for listening to a sporting event, you won't notice any difference at all. But that'll give you 86 seconds. Hit the F3 again to exit and save. Now you're set to 86 seconds. And there's also a lip sync mode. I'll go to that. If you keep hitting the F2, it'll cycle around to different, then it spells out lips. Hit the F3, and now what you notice is an extra digit, and so the resolution is 1 millisecond for each change. It gives you a really fine resolution for doing lip syncing. I had some animators, well, quite a few animators that bought this one time for when they were doing development, animation development, for because their display was slightly off of what the voiceover audio was that they were syncing up, and this makes it useful for doing things like that. Another application for that is churches oftentimes have an overflow area, and I've had a number of churches buy this. Usually they'll need about 80 milliseconds, 80 thousandths of a second of delay in order to sync the audio that's coming from the main auditorium with the audio that's coming out of the speakers in the overflow room. And if you don't have that, then there's kind of an echo effect. So doing that syncs up the audio in the two places, or at least in the overflow room. A couple other applications, kind of irrelevant to our basic setup, but there you have it. And when you're setting up, if you have any questions at all, you can feel free to give me a call, and I will be more than happy to walk you through the different things that you are experiencing in your setup. But this should give you a good idea of what you need to do. Thanks for watching.